Have you ever followed a popular diet? Maybe you felt better for a little while, but in the end, you ended up feeling worse instead of better? Well, the truth is, what works for one person might not work for you. And that's because your gut, your hormones, and your metabolism are all unique. So today I wanted to dive into test-based nutrition. It's an advanced, science-backed way to create a diet that's personalized to your body. So we'll uncover, gut microbiome testing, food sensitivities, metabolic markers, and even the role of hormones in digestion. So if you've been spinning your wheels trying to find the perfect diet, then this episode is for you. Stay tuned. Hey friend, welcome to Gut Fix. Are you ready to finally get rid of those debilitating digestive symptoms? Do you catch yourself staying up late Googling things like, what can I eat? Or how do I stop a flare? Or maybe you're just lying awake wondering, how did this ever happen to me? I'm Wendy, and I've been exactly where you are, desperately searching for answers, but determined to find natural solutions. And like you, I was overwhelmed by all the conflicting information out there and unsure of what might really work for me. And so now in this podcast, I'm here to share with you what I've learned, how to listen to your body's signals, and uncover the common mistakes that might be standing in the way of your healing. So grab your favorite drink, pop in your earbuds, and let's dive into your health transformation together. Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things? You're eating healthy, you're exercising, you're taking your supplements, you're getting proper sleep, but your gut is still a mess? Well, that's kind of where I was. I was doing what I thought was all the right things, and yet using conventional dietary advice or doing what I thought and was reading that was good for gut imbalances, it didn't work for me. And it's because the one-size-fits-all diet will fail, because everybody's gut microbiome is different. Everybody's metabolism, inflammation triggers, food sensitivities, all of that is different. And so with test-based nutrition, we use that as a way to stop guessing and start using the data to make very informed dietary choices for each individual. And so why do we use test-based nutrition? Well, simply, it's an approach that uses lab data. Like, it looks at your stool, it looks at your blood, hormones, genetic tests in some cases, to create a diet and a supplement plan, along with exercise and sleep, and the whole package tailored to an individual's unique biology. And it's gaining popularity because more and more people are realizing that genetic nutrition advice, it just doesn't work for everyone, right? It might work for a small subset of people, but it's not a one size fits all. And advanced testing is becoming more accessible to consumers. And so even though the conventional side of medicine isn't really, they're not trained in this, right? That's not what they do. It's not the way they've been taught or trained. But it is becoming more accessible to consumers through practitioners like myself who have gone through and gotten certified as an FDN to learn how to use these tools. And personalized medicine is truly becoming the future of healthcare because, more and more people are realizing that just the simple fact that what works for one doesn't work for everyone, right? And so those with IBD, chronic digestive issues, fatigue, brain fog, autoimmune conditions, even hormone imbalances, they can all benefit the most. But truly, the truth is everybody can really benefit from it, right? And so what are some of the tests that you might see for gut health and IBD? First of all, one of the most beneficial is the stool test, a GI map or gut microbiome test. And what these tests are testing for is bacterial overgrowth. So is there an imbalance in the good and bad bacteria, or is there dysbiosis there? It also is looking for different bacteria like H. pylori, which is extremely common, very easily transmitted from one person to another, and so it can look for that. Also, is there fungal overgrowths like Candida? It can check for parasites, although I will say that it's, they're not the best for parasites. And yet if they show up on there, then, you can rest assured you have them. It will also check for inflammation markers like your calprotectin, things like that. Those of you who are IBD sufferers, you've probably had one of these tests and you know these markers that I'm talking about. Also, digestive enzyme function. It also can sometimes give a key look into how is the detox pathways? How are the detox pathways? Am I detoxing properly? Things like that. And why it's really valuable is that it does help to determine if possibly there's infection or imbalances that could be driving your IBD flares, right? And it can help guide you to making those necessary dietary changes. For example, someone who has yeast overgrowth may want to, avoid a lot of sugar and carbs for sure, right? And so, if dairy is also a main issue for someone, but, after a GI map test, we found that, we find that there are, that they also had parasitic infection that could be causing the inflammation. And, in some cases, once that's treated, the gut improves without having to eliminate dairy completely, right? Also, food sensitivities is a huge thing. We use MRT as a food sensitivity test, and that can also, we can also use inflammation testing. And how does that work? So what you're doing, specifically with the MRT, is we're measuring the immune system reactions to certain foods or chemicals, right? And the difference between food sensitivity and food allergy testing is food sensitivities are delayed, right? They create delayed inflammation, where allergies, they cause immediate reactions. So, the food sensitivity test will give you a broader picture of what's going on. If you haven't eaten something, for example, you take a food allergy test, you might not see a reaction, might not know that you have a quote unquote allergy. Some of the very most common sensitivities that are found in IBD, but really not even just IBD, just people overall in general, are dairy, eggs, gluten, of course, corn, and nightshades. Now, not all of these are going to be, for somebody with IBD, or, some of them, like I said, not even just IBD, but those are the most common triggers that we find in gut issues. And so someone who might be eating healthy foods like spinach or almonds, that could actually, if they have a food sensitivity, could actually be causing inflammation in their immune system, which is going to react obviously very negatively for them and could possibly contribute to a flare. The other ways that we can test for things are metabolic and blood sugar testing. And so a continuous glucose monitor, or a CGM, it matters. Blood sugar matters for the gut and IBD because when you have fluctuating blood sugar, that can trigger cortisol spikes. That can increase your gut inflammation because cortisol is catabolic, and it can cause that gut inflammation. High blood sugar levels they feed harmful gut bacteria. Low blood sugar levels, on the other hand, can trigger food cravings, fatigue, that can lead to you making very bad, choices in your dietary choices. And how does a CGM work? So a continuous glucose monitor tracks your real-time blood sugars responses to food, also to stress and sleep. So when you wear that and you get an alarm after you eat something, that might be telling you that is something that is spiking your blood sugar too much, right? Or if your blood sugar gets too low because you haven't had enough protein or fat in your diet. Also, stress can affect all of that too. So one person may eat oatmeal and be just fine. Another person may have a complete spike and then a dip. So knowing your unique response helps to make better food choices so that you overall feel better, but also, tamp down the flares. And then, insulin resistance, if you might, that is so common. Unfortunately, insulin resistance is it's rampant. And what some of the signs that you might have insulin resistance are, crashing energy levels after you eat. So if you've ever eaten a meal and you just feel like you need to go take a nap, not let's leave out Thanksgiving when you eat turkey, right? But when you eat a normal meal and your energy levels crash, that could be a sign that you are insulin resistant. Also, if you have constant sugar cravings, that can also be a sign. Fatigue, if you have excessive weight gain in your midsection or that spare tire, that can also be a sign that you have insulin resistance. And so how do you improve it? Well, some of the ways to improve it are to eat protein and fiber when you have carbs. So, I think probably I would say most people don't get enough fiber to begin with, and we need more protein, right? And if you're going to eat carbs, you need to eat protein and fiber with it. Also, strength training can help as well. Managing your stress can definitely help you to maintain or to get rid of insulin resistance. And so hormone testing also is another test that we use for digestive health. And there's hormones impact your gut function, no question about it, more so than people realize. And cortisol specifically affects your gut permeability, kind of leaning towards leaky gut. If you're estrogen dominant, that can increase histamine and inflammation in your gut. Low progesterone can also lead to very sluggish digestion, right? And so you might end up being constipated. When we use a Dutch test and saliva hormone panels, that can help measure those cortisol levels. That can look at your estrogen and your progesterone. It can look at testosterone. Even though, you think of testosterone as only being in men, women have a small amount of testosterone as well. But also melatonin, what helps us sleep. And why does this all matter for those that are, that suffering and struggling with IBD? Well, as you know, stress is a big contributor to IBD flares and symptoms. And stress-driven cortisol will spike those flares, or can cause flares and spike those flares. Low progesterone can lead to, the sluggish digestion and, again, constipation. And so, by eating to support your hormone balance, you can start incorporating more cruciferous vegetables for estrogen detox. So that would be your cabbage, your Brussels sprouts, broccoli, things like that. Managing your stress to help regulate your cortisol. That's a big one. And that really truly is a big one for a lot of different reasons. So, the future of personalized nutrition is it's catching on. It's getting more common. And more people are turning to it to find answers, and especially those that are, suffering with IBD. So let's recap the top 3 takeaways from this episode. So number 1, testing is going to remove the guesswork from your diet, and it's going to help you heal faster. The second thing is that your gut, your blood sugar, and your hormones, they're all interconnected. And the third thing is that when you invest in lab testing, it can save you, years of trial and error, and just get cut to the chase, if you will. And so, if you're tired of guessing what's best for your gut health, let's get a personalized plan for you. You can go to my website, wendyhandy.com, and click on to book a free consultation. Also, if you found this information valuable, or somebody that can use it, please pass it along. Also, if you just want my IBD guide on the go, you can click the link in the show notes below, or go to bit.ly/IBD guide. That's bit.ly, bit.ly/IBD guide. And I thank you for listening today. Hope you got some value. And until next week, stay happy and stay healthy. Hey friend, I hope today's episode brought you some real value. If it did, would you take just 30 seconds to share it with a friend who might be struggling to get her gut in check? And if you're feeling extra generous, leave me a review on Apple. It absolutely lights me up knowing that this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to grab my protein shake and get my gut happy. I'll see you back here next Tuesday for another episode of Gut Fix. And until then, stay happy and stay healthy.